and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, here on the Big, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts. On my left, Russ Stevens, and on my far right, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and we have a special guest sitting in the grandstands tonight. He's one of the true gems of Brookline. He's the barber to the stars. He's my good friend. Let's give it up for Pete McGilvery. Pete, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're very glad to have you on. All right, so let's kick into the week of sports. Let's start with the Patriots, as we usually do right now, right? The big fatty's gone. Vince Wolff signed with Houston for 2 years, $9 million, $5 million guaranteed, which is about what I would need to move to Houston, right? I mean, that's pretty much an armpit. So I understand this is kind of his last hurrah, right?
Romeo's there.
Yeah, Romeo Crennel is there.
Mike
right? Vrabel is
Bill
there.
O'Brien.
Yeah.
It's a good move for them, too. They got a very young team. You get an established professional like Vince. Put him with J.J. Watt, and maybe you can teach Jadeveon Clowney a little professionalism and how to keep yourself on the field. And that'll pay big dividends for Houston. They're automatically a playoff contender.
But I'm kind of surprised. I actually had predicted that the Patriots, Vince would come back to the Patriots, and it looked like it. You're right. It looked like it at some point he would, and he didn't.
I think it was likely the case that they both knew going into last year it was a one-year deal, and there's almost sort of pre-written, unless something had happened different, that Vince was going to pack his bags after this, because it didn't seem he came out right away with that goodbye note.
Yeah,
there was no negotiation. There was no negotiation period. He came right out and said goodbye. Then there was that little, maybe he'll come back. And look, it was just time. It was time to part.
And he'll be missed. I mean, he was a great player, but I mean, his best years are very much behind him, right?
No, but when you start the Super Bowl, then all of a sudden the next year you're not good enough to play on the team anymore. You have to wonder about that.
Yeah, and look,
well, maybe you can't play on the team getting $7 million.
Right. Okay.
But you could and he and Bianca weren't going to be embarrassed and play for like veteran minimum, and I don't blame them.
Look,
they didn't need to.
Of all the losses, we can agree this is the least. This is the one that's least damaging, right? They filled it the next day practically with Alan Branch. You got Silver Saliga. You got the kid they drafted last year. Yeah. This is not the big problem that we have on their team.
Because you're not going to get much from him anyways. I mean, moving forward.
And if you're looking at him, he's going to Texas with J.J. Watt. He's not going to see the double teams there.
No.
With,
Right.
Absolutely. So they can kind of cruise out those two. Probably.
These guys are being phased out. These big, honking nose tackles are being phased out of the game. There are no Ted Washingtons. There's no other Vince Wilforks.
Even Potrost only got like $3 million from the Redskins.
The kid from Baltimore, he's on his last legs. They're
the game is evolving a little bit.
Game's evolving.
And Belichick said, best defensive lineman that he's ever had. So they have a good relationship. Vince will be back. The only reason that possibly that the relationship could be, broken at all is the Patriots play the Texans. And if Wolff hurts Tom Brady, that's it, right? Wolf's not coming back into town.
He hasn't rushed the quarterback in years, really.
So now, who replaces Wolff? You think Saliga?
Alan Branch, Silver Saliga.
They must have seen enough of those
Dominique Easley was their first-round draft pick, and he plays the interior on the line. And I think they've got plenty of guys there who.
Because we used to having a big fatty.
Well, Branch is no.
Right. Silver Saliga is no munchkin either. I mean, he's a big dude.
And Joe Villano, he's just kind of a ham and egg.
Another guy. Yeah.
And if things don't go well for the Red Sox with Pablo, he could always fill a line, right? I mean, nobody's, if you think about it right now, who's more qualified to fill a gap right now, weight-wise, than that guy, right? If you think about it, right?
Quick off the line.
Yeah, exactly. Are you free on Sunday?
Yeah, right? Good footwork. That's right, Russ.
I mean, he's the new fatty in town. So, all right. So, the new word in the hip circles is processing something. So we need to process, right? Isn't that a word? Do you use that at all?
Yeah.
So it's taken another week, and I'm processing the Revis departure.
Oh.
Okay, so guys, we've had a week to think about it and process it. What are your feelings now, a week later, after Revis has left?
This feels like it's a big system decision, and
yes.
and so they've. when he realized he couldn't get Revis for a number that they would have been comfortable with, he decided to change his whole defensive system. So that's why Browner goes out really quickly behind it. And now it seems like they've committed to playing zone. And if you're going to play zone, you need a much better pass rush. So most of their investment seems to be going up front at this point in time.
He thinks it's time for Logan Ryan and Malcom Butler and Dennett to step up and take their place
Logan
in the
Ryan,
scheme of things.
He scared me in the Sioux. He patted 10 yards in that end zone. Not
Yeah, so
touchdown.
Pete, do they change their defensive philosophy because Revis is no longer on the team, or is it just business as usual? We'll just,
I think Revis being there made it easier for McCourty. He didn't have to take care of that side of the field. You know, they love McCourty, clearly.
love him.
They gave him a lot of money.
They sure did.
You know, and he must be a great clubhouse guy, you know, because they wanted him back. But, you know, as far as Revis goes, I just never felt like he really didn't buy in all the way.
Right, because he
From
only
day
had
one.
right. It was a 1 year deal.
Even after the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, he wasn't really part of it all. He just, you know, he came in, he's a professional, he's a real pro.
Yeah.
Came in, did his job, did it very well, and he said, okay, I'm going back, you know.
Mer-
So we can't say that the Patriots don't pay the full price anymore because they've paid McCourty the full price.
Paid
to keep him.
McCourty, they just
Number
gave
one in the league.
number one in the league. They're gonna. We said it last week. They're going to spend all this money. We're debating how they spend it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's shifting how they're spending it. There's not a coincidence that Revis came last year, then they got Browner because they decided to play press man to man.
Right.
Revis leaves, they get rid of Browner because they're no longer going to play press man.
gonna
They're not going to
zone.
play press man to man with Logan Ryan, Fonzie
Arrington.
Dennard, Kyle Arrington, and Malcolm Butler. They're just not going to do that.
But let me say, I applaud the move to give Ninkovich equal pay with a guy just out,
about that?
from Cleveland.
The sudden generosity.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
The
They
guy's
gave- you
only
heard this,
played like
right?
98% of your plays the
I
last
know
2
it.
years.
They
We're-
gave Ninkovich. They doubled his salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, weren't you waiting for and he extended his contract?
Yeah,
But apparently we got nothing back in that.
Usually they call the player a sucker. A tough luck sucker.
No, I think there was a phone call made is that you just gave this guy Jabal Sheard a contract
That's a
of
great
what,
point.
Yeah.
$6.5 million a year. I'm better than he is.
Yeah.
I'm going to get paid
So you
two
think
and
they
a
were
half million?
forced into that, or that was they know the deal? If they're going to pay the new guy that much money, they got to take care of their existing guy.
Have you ever seen them do
They've-
that
no, they've
before?
no-
I feel like,
But I think they
Ninkovich
did it
is
of
the
their own
Brewski
volition.
kind of for the
My
Patriots.
guess
You know,
is-
he just has that same kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, I mean he's maybe better than Brewski in some levels, as far as rushing the passer and what he does.
More versatile than Brewski was.
Bigger than Brewski is.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I love Teddy Brewski,
Yeah.
but I mean Ninkovich is a great player, and he has been for a long time now. But I just couldn't believe it because this is non-Patriot stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just thought they would
Well,
laugh
like
at
Russ
him.
was saying, they do have to spend the money.
They have
They've
to,
been
they
below
have to
the
spend
floor.
the money. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
So they have to spend it.
So the Patriots did something this week that Theo Epstein, Brookline's own, used to do a lot when he was with the Red Sox.
Dressing gorilla suits?
Yeah, right. If guys kill the Red Sox, then we acquire them.
Yeah.
The Julio Lugos
Yeah.
of the world, right?
Absolutely.
So Scott Chandler of the Bills has destroyed the Patriots, right, in the last few seasons. So I guess, he got cut by the Bills. The Patriots sign him. From what I've seen, because Scott Chandler has killed the Patriots, that looks like a great signing.
Love that signing,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because there's some extra depth behind. He's a guy who can. He certainly looks the part of Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Just as
6',
big,
6'7",
6'7",
Right.
catches the ball, runs pretty well. I'm sure he can't block anywhere near as
he's
well as
not a blocker.
Gronkowski.
Right.
But it's going to be a lot better to see Scott Chandler in there if Gronkowski's taking a few plays off as opposed to the Who Man.
Tim,
Yeah.
what about Tim Wright? This is the guy that was supposed to be the chip in the Logan Mankins trade.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they can't think much of him.
Yeah, where did he disappear in the playoffs?
The guy got 5 touchdown passes last year.
Yeah,
Tim
but
Wright
then,
did.
like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
like Pete says, he disappeared come the playoff.
He
time.
was up, but he was all. It seemed to be it was all about the game plan. If he was in the
Yeah.
game plan, they threw it to him a bunch of times. But then there were weeks. I totally agree. Disappeared, just didn't even play.
But it was strange because when Tim Wright caught touchdown passes, no one was 10 yards from him. It was like
he was always all
Jonas
alone.
Grade.
Yeah.
But
He
now
was
it's
like Mike Vrabel, in all those passes he caught.
to me, the moment I heard about that acquisition, I thought, oh my God, the red zone. we're going to be remarkable in the red zone. We've got 2 6'7" guys to throw to. Brady's just going to
Plus, LaFell's a big dude. And,
Right, that's
Big
what
hands.
Brady always wants.
And they signed
Big
another
guys.
6'6" wide receiver too the other day.
Oh, Gibson?
Yeah,
Gibson, yeah.
big tall kid.
So maybe throwing Brady little cookies on the offensive side. Got to do that, right? I mean,
Yeah, but also got to get an offensive line that can
Yeah.
protect the bejesus out of him next year.
I think
That's really what it comes
because
down to.
Conley might be gone. That's another starter that they might be missing. They're missing Vereen, so they got to.
It's the final piece. I think
Yeah.
that's our last piece that we'll see in the offseason, whether it's a draft or whatever, is just bringing in some offensive line depth.
Yeah, and let me just interrupt here and say, if I'm Dan Connolly and for his family and everything, Dan, who gets a concussion almost weekly, he needs to retire before, he doesn't even know if his name is Dan or Stan or the man or guy. Right, I'm just hoping that guy forgets, that he plays in the NFL anymore, because that's, at some point,
And you bang heads for a living.
yeah, it gets tough to watch. So,
But he plays multiple positions, and that's why they like him.
oh, absolutely, right? I mean, the versatility of all the Patriots
Right.
on the offensive line is what
Do
they
your
look
job.
for, right? Yeah. So, all right, that's it for the Patriots. We're segueing into the Celtics, who, before last night, had a 5-game winning streak. They were playing well. Bumping the road yesterday against OKC, and that Russell Westbrook.
Turned it on in the second half, didn't he?
I don't know if
He's the best athlete that I've seen in the
And that was
NBA, and that
Bradley.
includes LeBron in the last 5 years. That guy's unbelievable.
yeah, he reminds me of a young LeBron.
Yeah,
with,
just a little
with
smaller
with
version.
energy, right? A smaller version.
Yeah, he was unbelievable against a pretty mediocre team last night, though.
Yeah,
But was Avery Bradley their best defender that had him for most of the game?
But he
So they
takes
did try to
charge. He
challenge
forces
him.
his will upon.
Oh, yeah.
I wish someone would tell me what the NBA is all about now. I mean, do they get fined if they go in the paint now?
I know.
Is there something about
Yeah.
that?
I know,
I've
I
never
know.
seen so many rebounds that clang off the rim, and they get the rebounds at the top of the key.
Oh, if you see,
I never heard of it.
I totally agree. Last night, Phil Pressey had 6 rebounds in the third quarter, and the only explanation for that is just the number of 3-pointers that are shot up
Clangers.
there
Yeah.
that bounce out 20 feet, and you get the point guard standing there waiting for the ball to come into his hands.
Yeah, the new lingo in the NBA, the transition
The
three.
spread offense.
The
Yeah,
transition three, which
three.
means we are on a fast break. We actually have the numbers in the break,
Yeah.
but we're going to pull up and shoot a three-pointer.
Right.
We're going to have 6'11" guys. That's what they do all day. They sit in the three-point
Kelly
line.
Olynyk.
Oh, don't get me. All right, you want to
you
start with
go.
Kelly
Yeah,
Olynyk?
to do it.
Okay, there is just guys in Boston sports that, and I watch all the games, that literally pain me, all my internal organs. Brandon Browner.
Yeah.
All of those internal organs. Brandon Browner gone,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful. I feel better about the situation.
Xander Bogarts.
No, that's for another day, because this is going to get physical. Daniel Nava, of course, in Major League Baseball, and now my new guy in the Celtics is Kelly Olynyk. He must go, and he must go quickly. Not only does his skill set's just terrible, his effort level is just off the charts terrible.
He looks like he's declined physically in the last year, and he's only like 23 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks
He doesn't
heavier
look
legs,
athletic,
doesn't
yeah.
move around as well as he did last year.
Yeah.
I thought he was graceful. Now he just looks lazy.
But Brad Stevens last night has had enough of him. He made this terrible pass.
Oh, my
You
God,
see
that was horrible.
And Brad Stevens was just talking to the assistant coach, and he was cussing him out like, So Kelly's gone after this year, right? I mean, that's,
It looks like he's had enough.
Yeah, because it's Brad Stevens' team, like we've spoken about before,
Right.
and he's making the personnel moves. When Danny Ainge gives him those players, he's going to make those moves, and I'm sure
I
he's
think
done.
he's earned it. He's a bright spot in that for the Celtics, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, right?
Well, look, they competed very well. I was very impressed with that game. They missed a ton of foul shots. Had they hit their foul shots last night, that game was going
bad.
into overtime.
But they missed double figures, didn't they?
It was horrible. I think they shot as well from the 3-point line as they did. No, seriously,
But
from
they
the
do
free
play
throw
to the
line.
end. That's
very
fun.
impressive.
They played to the end, and he coached them right up to the end.
Absolutely.
But they play like Butler University plays. I mean, they
Yeah,
actually
right.
play like a college team. They're all like 6'5", 6'6", right?
Because Rondo's not there to.
Yeah, right. They're interchangeable.
And
Aren't they
last
kinda-
night, Marcus Smart must have been the whole cooking or something.
Oh,
Seven
yeah.
3-pointers?
I mean, because he came into the league, if I remember correctly,
Couldn't shoot.
Couldn't shoot. Like that was the
Yeah.
whole knock on him. He was the 6th pick. I'd draft him easily again at that spot. I think even in the 5th or the 4th spot.
Yeah,
at
he's
this
proven
point.
that he can.
All of a
He's
sudden, the
good
guy
at
can
it. He
shoot.
gets it done.
Yeah, and they're comparing him defensively to Dennis Johnson, which
DJ. Wow.
yeah, that's
But
one of my
and
favorites.
The most amazing thing is you watch him. He'll come off of a pick and still catch the guy. He'll get clobbered on a pick, and he won't give up on the play, and he'll catch up to the guy and still stop the ball.
right. So that was
He's the new face, would you say, besides Stevens?
I think so. I
yeah,
totally agree.
but Isaiah Thomas, though we haven't seen him. I
But
like Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah didn't play in any of those 5 wins in a row.
Terrific.
which shows you a reflection
It's
of
a
how well
feel-good
they're
story
playing.
of the
He
year.
is the spark, though.
But you got guys like Gigi,
No,
Datome, and Gigi.
I'll take Kelly
It's so
Olynyk
weird
over
because
him.
the only time I've ever used the word and screamed, in pleasure for Gigi, when I'm at like the Golden Banana, right? The last time. So the whole idea that there's a word Gigi and I'm talking about a basketball player with a beard,
Right.
Yeah. But he's actually played well.
He's knocked James Young. I'm sure Brad Stevens wanted to get James Young into the lineup over the last 3 weeks. And Gigi's knocked James Young out. And that's, to Pete's point, that's a credit to Stevens, where he's given minutes to a retread from the European leagues because he's shown he can help them win basketball games.
And they
He's
want to
buying
win.
in, yeah.
And he'll look
They
better
wanna
with
win.
Thomas when Thomas starts penetrating again and kicking it off to him on the wing. Because he's shown he can bury that shot.
And that's a good point about James Young. All right, it's probably too early. I mean, he's a young guy. What is he? I think he's literally 19 years old. So he's a project. I don't even know if you're going to get much contribution from him even next year.
Yeah, it could be 2-3
They
years
might
down the
send
line.
if they could send him back to the D
They
League
have.
for the
Well,
rest
they
of
have.
the year.
Oh, yeah.
They'll send him down back
Yeah.
and forth just to make sure he's getting minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a Maina right now.
big
he's
question
he's
is-
a red
How many
card.
guys have come in and out of that lineup this year?
It's something like 25,
22.
something like
25,
that.
yeah. 22.
Pete, they have made what? I mean,
Those shirts are,
50?
those numbers are Velcro.
There's one team that's had 20. Oh, Philly's had 25.
But
They've
how's it?
done-
that right?
So thinking about forward though, where's the star player going to come from? Is the star player going to come most likely to come from the draft,
From the
or
picks.
most likely to come from a free agency for the Celtics, or a trade? One of your three. What would you say? Draft, free agency, or trade? The superstar, because they're going
I
to
think
need
it's
a
trade.
trade.
I think
Who's out
it'll
there,
it'll
though?
be a kind of a trade free agency combination.
Think like sign and trade or something
That
like
kind
that.
of thing.
Well, they have picks, right? Tons of
They have
picks.
tons of picks.
Yeah.
And they're not
And
going to be able to
everyone
use
wants
them.
picks, right?
Right. They're not going to be able to use all those picks. They're not going to be able to pick these guys. I
But
mean,
can you
there's
turn those into a frontline guy?
I think it's most likely that the superstar is going to come from a trade that involves maybe a guy or two on their roster in picks.
yeah.
As long as it's Kelly. We're
No,
good.
yeah, I don't. Yeah. You're not getting anything for
Yeah.
Kelly. Yeah, he's done.
No.
Yeah, but he's not moving forward. You need that position.
Well,
to
someone
have
needs a little length off the bench. They might say, "Well, okay, we'll take."
Or
Kelly."
they need a Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Right, they're
Toronto.
short of Canadian.
You're right,
Diversity.
right.
Yeah, so we
because
just-
we
yeah.
always need a little Canadian.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bill Walton always likes the guys with long hair too. So.
Yeah, that hair's got to go
Hair's
too,
gotta
right?
go.
That's just
Pretty bad.
it's greasy, it's
Yeah.
disgusting. It's not even the young people don't wear that stuff either. I don't even know. Yeah, he needs to go. All right. So we got to segue to the Bruins for a short bit. All right, Bruins are playing better, right? I mean,
Sure.
they're showing a little life.
They're a tough loss the other night.
Tuca's playing
That was
better.
a bad loss to the last place team that's trying to win a pick in the draft, and they beat the Bruins, who are trying to get in the playoffs. It was just
Yeah, when you lose to a team at home that's trying to lose.
Right, makes you
that
think.
doesn't want to
There's
win.
Yeah,
Not
right,
right.
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
And you're trying to win.
Right, and we realize, as we move forward, especially with the NBA, and you realize that the coaches don't put in certain guys at certain times because they're trying to lose.
No.
So they really are trying to lose.
See the
And they look like they're
76ers.
trying to lose that night, too.
Because the
Yeah.
players aren't trying to
Well, the
lose. They're not,
goaltender, that goaltender played pretty well.
That's
We had
true.
like 55 shots on net or something.
And
like
we
that.
had Steady Svetty.
Yeah.
he's-
He played well, too,
He
though.
played
but
well, wasn't it? But I tell you, that kid,
You gotta be able to
Pasternak,
put a team away.
jumps off the screen. I watched
Yeah.
that game a couple nights ago, and he gets going, and he just looks different from every other player on the ice
Youngest
for
player
us.
in
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
Every other
Youngest
player in the ice, he looks different from.
But he's
makes you-
undersized.
He
He's
makes
very
undersized.
much
He
so.
makes you
Fine.
forget all about Sagan, doesn't he?
I think he has that same kind of dynamic
Yes.
quality. When he gets going, he just looks like he's going to beat everybody to the spot on the ice.
But I think they're
And
in
he can
trouble
finish,
going to
too.
the playoffs, though.
They're in trouble, especially if they end up playing Montreal
Well,
in the
I'm
first
not so
round.
sure.
They're one and done.
Rask is playing very, very
So
well.
15
He's
games
playing.
out, though.
Optimist.
He's
Yeah,
playing. He's playing better than any other player in Boston sports right now.
Yeah, but you don't want him to peak too soon for the playoffs.
Exactly, but If
But
he
Joe,
can
there's
play
only
at
so
this
much
level,
he can do. There's only, I mean, that
He
Ottawa
could-
game that they had in Ottawa
That was
a week ago
he
that
was
he
great.
stole. I mean, you can only ask so much.
he
from
looked
him.
like Wyatt Earp down there in the Wild West Showdown. He kept stopping
Yeah.
breakaways.
And they have no backup goalie.
They're going to have trouble because Chara doesn't look like Chara. Whether it's an injury or he's just
Yeah.
the Bruins insist that you play all three zones, and it just wears you down after a couple. And they've gone deep the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think their only hope is if Krejci comes back and gives them a
real
boost of
boost.
energy,
Some
gets
fresh
that,
legs,
gets those
yeah.
lines lined up
I
again.
think it sounds crazy, but I think the loss of Johnny Boychuk is going to hurt them because in the playoffs, this guy just shows up.
Yeah. I think the
He's
loss
gone.
of the whole season of Sean Thornton. Nobody's ever
Yeah.
mentioned it, but he was the heart and soul of that team. He's the guy who would come out there and give him some life, smack some people around, and they have not replaced the guy
well,
like him.
although that fourth line's been different since they got Talbot.
I
He's
agree
been-
with
Yes.
you.
that all of a sudden
100%.
has become a good line again.
And he
gives them a
replaces
different look.
He does.
Pasternak, too,
Yeah.
come the third period or
Oh,
overtime.
he does? Yeah, I haven't noticed that. Yeah,
When they
that's
need a little
interesting.
more
Yeah,
muscle
little
on there.
nastiness.
Especially when you're on the road when they can match up their big line against
And he's
the
not gonna
little
make a
guys,
mistake. He's been
Spooner and Pasternak, and they put a big heavy line in there and they
Yeah.
can push them around.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I know you're going to disagree with me, but, in the I hate athletes part of the
Patrice
show.
Bergeron?
No, Patrice Bergeron's the man. Krejci, I hate him. I hate Krejci.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
What is wrong with you?
Oh,
What did David Krejci ever do to you other than producing the
Krejci,
playoffs?
please. Krejci's, he is the most overrated player
Oh,
in the NHL.
Lord.
Oh, don't even get me started. Oh, I just want to mention the sixth game of the Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks. If Krejci can clear the puck, then we're going to a seventh game because he can never
Crazy
clear the
talk.
puck.
Yeah.
on
Crazy
his
talk
end.
time.
He's he is so soft in the defensive end, and he is so overrated because his goals are very pretty. So everybody talks about his highlight
Wow.
goals. Oh,
No,
yeah.
he's better than
It's
that.
like a
No,
dark
he's- all right,
side.
okay,
We're seeing a
okay,
dark
okay.
side to you
That's
tonight.
right.
That's
He's not
okay.
horrible.
No, but he's overrated. He's overpaid, and
I
he needs to
think
go.
he's
All right,
overpaid.
that's
That's
what
the
it is.
Bogarts of the Boston Bruins.
Look, you watch. Okay, just watch now. Krejci's got the light on him.
Well, he's
okay.
hurt, too.
Of course he is. Yeah. So
That's another problem. He's hurt all the time.
Yeah, exactly. He's soft too. All right. So we're gonna go Major League Baseball before we go to the Red Sox. I know. I had to mention Pete Rose, who has been banned from Major League Baseball since 1989, guys, for betting on baseball. In fact, Pete, who's a scumbucket, actually for money has written on baseballs, "I bet on baseball. I'm sorry." So he's profiting from this, but
That's pathetic.
that's just pathetic, right? Pitiful. All the words. But look, if Pete Rose had murdered someone on the field, he would have got, minimum 15 years, but he probably would have been out in 26. So they're trying to get him reinstated so he can be in the Hall of Fame. And my question to you boys is, should Pete Rose be reinstated?
No.
Oh.
Not as long as the Constitution of the Hall of Fame is written the way it is. If you want to change it, and then you can put him in.
Pete?
But it does have the morals clause.
Pete Rose is so polarizing, but the fact that my feeling is this guy hit great pitching before the steroid era.
Yep.
He was just a tremendous baseball player, but, betting on ball games to lose, I don't know. I can't get past it.
All right, so you say no. That's it. It's a lifetime ban. A lifetime means
Do I have to say yes or no?
yes or no?
I'm saying let him in.
All right, let him. Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, let him in. I take the Bob Ryan. We should ask Bob Ryan next week.
Yeah.
I take the Bob Ryan view. Put Pete Rose's plaque up, all the amazing things he did on the field, and you have a line in there that said he was suspended for 26 years because he admitted to betting on baseball
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
And then let whoever goes to the Hall of Fame make the judgment on him.
Because
Put
then
him
it's
next to Biggio. Put his
Yeah,
statue
yeah, right.
next to Biggio.
That's
Look,
exactly
the Hall of
right.
Fame is loaded with scumbags.
Yeah, right. If you're gonna
Guys who are way
Ty
worse
Cobb.
than Pete Rose, right?
absolutely.
So-
First position player put in the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb was
Yeah, so
a real jerk.
I'm with Ryan. I think you're going to see these guys are going to start to get let in, and they're going to put, lines on their plaques that say he played in this era, he
a
did
black
this, he
ribbon
did that.
against
But
How-
on
who-
the field, he was tremendous.
Oh my God,
Oh, Pete
4,000
Rose was,
hits.
yeah, I just
a hitter extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's got to be put in. Come on, that's the way we're supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be a forgiving nation.
He's paid
It's
his
26
price.
years. He's paid his price. And
I think Manfred's letting him back in. I
You think
would
so?
predict
Yeah.
sometime in the next 2 years.
That would be
Manfred-
his
I'll be
legacy.
surprised.
Yeah.
he's 70-something years old. I'm sure he's in failing health. The guy hasn't exactly taken care of himself. Before the guy croaks,
The
let the
All-Star
guy
game
go
is in
in.
Cincinnati this year.
Come on. Well, he's going to have to read from a teleprompter,
Yeah.
when he has
Let him
this
in so he
thing.
can stop signing those
Yeah,
balls.
that's
like
right.
that.
I know. That's completely pathetic.
So you
I
just put
know.
HOF on there.
That's right.
Right.
Have some pride in yourself, Pete, and we'll let you in, pal. All right. So I would quickly to the Red Sox. Koji, he's 40 years old. He's still our closer. We've actually signed him, boys, to a 2-year deal.
That was
He's already
stupid.
got a hamstring pull from basically just walking, like we all do at
That's
40.
the Clay Buchholz hamstring, isn't
Yeah,
it?
right.
Yeah.
Are we putting all our eggs in the Koji basket?
It seems like it, or or we're going to end up looking at Matt Barnes closing games, which I'm not so sure is such a bad
pretty
idea.
separate.
Farrell
I
says
tend
it's Mojica who's next.
Yeah,
up.
but he's saying that so that they're saying everything. Victorino,
so they can trade them.
so that they can get rid of these guys. Alan Craig's going to get 450 at bats. No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's
The
not.
God's
God's
going to
just-
chant for Jimmy Garoppolo to come out of the bench.
I know.
Let Jimmy play.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction. Tazawa is going to be the
Could
closer.
be. Do you
Yeah.
think Koji will get
Yeah.
10 saves this year?
No, I think Koji will end up being hurt in April and
Yeah.
off and on. And that
I
was
think he'll
just a
get
bad
around
deal.
10 saves, 4.5 ERA,
Yeah.
and they've got a new closer by Memorial
He was
Day or something.
deteriorating rapidly last year.
He certainly seemed to be.
I
They haven't
can't-
had luck with real bona fide closers, though. Hanrahan and these guys. And
Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough that
Papelbon,
Red Sox-
by the way, Papelbon said he'd love to come back to the
yeah.
Red Sox.
Oh no,
Has
no,
he got anything left?
no, he has not. You think he has anything left?
And he demand a high
Would he
price.
be-
I'm
would he
sure
have
his
anything
price
left
tag is
back
high.
here?
I think
Fenway.
he'd probably
He'd
be
love to come
fine.
back.
He'd probably be fine.
I
I'm
don't know.
not
He'd be as
that.
good
I
as
think that
anyone
I
else.
tend not to be too hung up on these closers. There's a lot of guys who can close games.
I like the Matt Barnes idea, though. They say he's throwing like 98 miles an hour down there.
So, guys, Farrell, the manager of the Boston Red Sox, was extended his deal. Now, I have a theory that John Farrell will be fired during the course of the season. I'm predicting July at best, and that Jason Veritek will be the new manager of the Red Sox. I'm throwing that out there. That's crazy
Jason
talk, I know.
Veritek
Crazy
doing
talk.
Jason Veritek. No, he's actually now all of a sudden he's a coach with the Red Sox in spring training.
So
and
is
stuff.
Kali Yastrzemski, but he's not going to be the manager.
If they let him smoke in the dugout, maybe.
Wait
yeah.
a minute, didn't they just sign him to an extension just a couple
No,
weeks
that
ago?
I know, which is surprises me. John Farrell. Do you think he'll be there for the duration of his extension?
Without a doubt.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I might side with
they
you on the
really like
duration
him.
of the extension, but
Without a doubt.
But for the
They
duration
love
of
this
this year,
guy.
for
They
They
sure.
love this
wanted
guy.
him
Does
from way back.
exactly? This guy does everything they
He's
want.
a company
him to do.
man. He is.
Absolutely.
He's-
They're not
he's
getting
the
rid
guy
of him.
they
You
want.
watch. If things go south early,
yeah.
John
They'll
Farrell
abandon him.
is out of here. Okay, July. That's it. We have taping
But
abilities.
isn't Jason
It's,
Veritek...
Bogarts is the first to go.
Jason Veritek's going to be the manager of the Red Sox. He's going to be the manager of the Red Sox. Okay, Jason,
Crazy
just don't worry
talk.
about it. Maybe. Get his parking space. I'll
Are
say.
you serious about Jason
I'm
Veritek?
absolutely serious. Yeah,
Who hasn't managed a game
in his
ever.
life.
Yeah, I know. Right. Well, you got to do.
But he's
Got
but
some-
he's
Look,
managed
You
games.
can't have experience
He's
unless
managed
someone
games.
gives you the opportunity. But we got to go for next week. So that's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank everyone behind the scenes. I would like to thank, of course, Russ, Uncle Joe, and our special guest, Pete. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great night.